people felt let down. So Chair Myers and I are bringing a motion today to address these two significant concerns so that when there are big events in the city, the TTC is better prepared, that it expands and extends subway service to make sure that people get home safely and when they need to get around our city, and also to improve the communications so that people know that their city and their transit agency has their back.
Councillor, just a few minutes ago, the chair told us that no one was let down by the TTC service and no one was disappointed. Is that true?
I've heard from Torontonians that they did feel let down. I strongly believe, and I think we all feel this way, whether it be the relationships in our life or our relationship with our governments. When you screw up, you own it, and you demonstrate that you're going to do better. I don't think the TTC, Metrolinx, or the City of Toronto did a good job after Game 7. I think that the service should have been proactively been expanded and extended into the early morning hours. I believe that the communications should have demonstrated that the city and the TTC, and yes, Metrolinx, has residents' backs, and none of that was done. I disagree with the TTC's decision as the game came to an end not to extend service, because it wasn't just about an emergency at Union Station. Torontonians were out across our city. People went to friends' homes, people went to bars, people were out and about. It was a lively, exciting night. It wasn't the night we wanted, but people were out. And we should have been prepared, and I think that we can do better, and this motion is asking for the TTC to do better.
Can I read you the Metrolinx statement for media relations regarding Saturday night and get your reaction?
You got it. Yeah.
Quote, due to track ownership and operational considerations, we cannot operate overnight or add additional trains past service time.
Give me a break. If you are a provincial transit agency that serves people not just from Toronto, but across the greater Toronto-Hamilton area, your job is to provide service when people need your service. And your job is not to just tell us what your problems are. Your job is to work on fixing those problems. That's why people elect public officials. That's why we have public agencies, to serve people where they are and how they need to be supported. I am less interested in focusing on the complications and challenges that they have, or in fact we have. Now, I want to understand them. Where there are issues, we've got to deal with them. Where there are complications, we have to be pragmatic about them and address them. But I remember years ago, my friend David Crombie taught me an important lesson in public service. There are very few problems that can't be fixed if you get the right people around the right table and not leave that table until you work together on resolving those problems. That's what I want from Metrolinx, the city, and the TTC. We have a big global city, and we need to start acting like one. We had a major event, and it was embarrassing how it was handled. We are about to host the World next year when the FIFA World Cup is here in Toronto, and we better damn well be prepared. There are going to be people from across the region and beyond. There are going to be people from around the world coming to Toronto, and Metrolinx needs to do better. It is unacceptable that when people are leaving the Sky Dome, yes, I still call it that, that tens of thousands of people are leaving the Dome. And they are shutting down service so soon after people, and you know how it is, you leave the stadium and you're in a crunch, you feel like sheep, and you're trying to make your way, What happened, and we saw in those videos, that there were a lot of people coming out of the stadium who desperately were trying to get to their train, and it was really slow because there were so many people out there. And they were told to get in line, and many of them got in line. And only when they waited 20 minutes to half an hour in line, they were told that the train had left the station and they were on their own. So my message to Metrolinx is, if you've got problems, solve them. Don't just tell us about the problems you've got. And again, I would look inward toward the city and the TTC and say the same thing.
Is part of the problem that Metrolinx seems to answer to no one? There's no counter.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we've seen, how Metrolinx has operated in a secret and dysfunctional and incompetent way with the Eglinton LRT. They don't have public trust. They don't have the trust of Toronto City Councillors and beyond because they're not transparent. They're very secret. They not only do they seem to have a lot of problems, they don't even tell us about exactly what the problems are. They allude to things, but they don't give us details. That Metrolinx needs to be just fixed and changed from inside out. They need more people actually fixing problems than the hundreds of vice presidents that they have. It's not working. And there was a time where there were public officials actually on the board. There was more accountability. The Ford government can't hide from this problem. They can't dismiss this problem. And I'm not just looking at them. The TTC and the city need to do better too. But the Ford government need to change Metrolinx in a way that they are more accountable, transparent, and more effective because they seem to find a way to fail at every juncture.
What do you make of the fact we just heard that that tweet, the transit won't wait tweet, was sent out accidentally?
Really? It was sent out accidentally?
That's what we were told.
That's a bizarre thing to have said. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, maybe it was, and if it was, that's incredibly bizarre. Is that spin to backtrack from a really bad tweet? Maybe. I don't know. But it shouldn't have happened in the first place. And that also demonstrates the lack of preparedness. At a major event like Game 7, you ensure that the transit service is ready for people who are out late at night or into the early morning because you know that that's going to happen. That comes along with Game 7 of the World Series. That's intuitive. That's part of the package. And in fact, anyone who knows even a little bit about baseball knows that sometimes it goes to 9 innings, but in that case it went to 11, and we've even seen it go to 18. So you can't predict that, and you need to be ready to just provide the service. And it's not just the game, people are also at parties, right? So we need to serve them and support them. But the communications plan also should have been locked and loaded with information about how Metrolinx and the TTC in the city were going to help you, not a dismissive and patronizing line suggesting that people are on their own. So I don't really care if it was an accident or not. It shouldn't have happened.
Is it disappointing to you in order to prepare for something like this, to avoid something like this? You have to introduce a motion. There needs to be a discussion. Like, should this not just be a given? Let the trains run until the game's over 2-3 hours afterwards? You know, the
TTC's board is to provide guidance and oversight. It's not to manage the day-to-day, and in this case, night-to-night operations. And it is frustrating that the chair and I need to bring a motion to make it clear to the TTC that, that there needs to be an effective major event plan, both communications and service expansion. It should have been intuitive. It should have been a basic part of doing business here. And it's very unfortunate. But I am very happy to say that I spoke with the chair last night, and he immediately understood that this is a priority. He understands that we need to send a very clear message to the TTC staff that we expect better. But yes, to answer your question, it's incredibly frustrating.
Have you spoken to the CEO about this?
I will today, and I'm going to be having some questions for him. I also didn't appreciate, I understood that they put out this statement yesterday excusing the TTC, putting the onus and the focus on Metrolinx and suggesting that everything was done well. I respectfully disagree with their communication strategy. I think the way that you earn trust in any context in life is that you own where you screwed up and you demonstrate how you're going to do better, and that's what I want to hear today.
So the chair has been out here, you've been out here. Should the CEO be out in front of media answering questions?
I believe that that the CEO of the TTC should always be available to the media to answer questions and to take ownership for the operations of the TTC. That's their job. Thank you very much.
Well, we've been listening to City Councillor Josh Matlow speaking ahead of the TTC board meeting that's happening today to talk about the fallout of the what happened on Saturday night and essentially stranding thousands of transit passengers.